How did a simple peasant become the commander-in-chief of an army and change the course of a war? The story of Joan of Arc is a tale of courage, faith, and betrayal. Joan of Arc was born in 1412 in the village of Domremy. She was a simple peasant girl. She could neither read nor write. At that time, France was in chaos due to the Hundred Years' War with England. She began to hear voices at the age of 13. These voices, she said, were the voices of Saints Michael, Catherine, and Margaret, who told her to save France. The first steps to a feat. Despite her young age, Joan went to the Dauphin Charles VII. She went a long way, overcoming the skepticism of the nobles, and declared that she must save France. Charles VII tested her by hiding among his courtiers, but Joan immediately recognized him, which strengthened his faith in her divine mission. The Great Victory at Orléans. Joan led the French army in 1429. Despite her lack of military experience, her attentiveness and faith inspired the soldiers. Joan of Arc's exploits at the Siege of Orléans in 1429 became a key moment in her story and a symbol of her military gene. The Siege of Orléans had already lasted for several months. The English, seeking to establish control over France, surrounded the city, blocking food supplies. Residents of Orléans were on the brink of starvation, and the morale of the French troops was low. Jeanne arrived at the army, declaring that her mission was to bring down the city by the will of God. Jeanne was not a professional soldier, but her faith and determination inspired the army. Under her leadership, the soldiers felt a surge of hope. She personally raised the morale of the army. Joan of Arc took an active part in the planning and attack. She insisted on an immediate assault on the English positions, contrary to the commander's plans. Joan's special feat was her courage on the battlefield. During one attack, she was wounded by an arrow, but returned to the battlefield despite the pain. This inspired the soldiers, who expressed even more fierceness. Under Joan's leadership, the French army carried out successful operations to capture key representatives of the English along the Ricard River. This victory allows the siege to be broken and control of supplies to the city to be regained. On May 8, 1429, a full week after the assault began, the English usually lifted the siege and retreated. Orléans was liberated. Joan of Arc became a heroine of France. Her victory not only changed the course of the Hundred Years' War, but also inspired the French to continue the fight for their independence. After the liberation of Orléans and the victory of Joan of Arc, military campaigns continue. However, the political situation in France worsened. Charles VII, crowned with her help, became the leader of less interest in her mission. At this time, Joan participated in the siege of the city of Compiègne, which was attacked by the Burgundians, allies of the English. In 1430, Joan of Arc continued to fight for France, despite the fact that her role at the court of Charles VII began to diminish. On May 23rd, Joan led a sortie from the city. Joan found herself at the forefront, trying to hold back the troops and cover left outside Compiègne. Joan found herself surrounded. Burgundian soldiers captured her, threw her off her horse, and handed over their command. The Burgundians soon sold Joan to the English reaction of Charles VII. Joan expected that Charles VII, who helped her become king, would make an attempt to save her. However, the French king does not take any action, fearing to complicate the situation. The captivity of Joan of Arc was a key event. After Joan's capture in 14